that time of year.
We got to, yeah. Everybody's like,
All right, Flan, if you'd start with an opening statement first about Kansas State, but this is going to double for Omaha as well. So the next two games, looking forward and your preparation and where we are as in the season.
sorry. Well, we're in finals week, which is always a little bit of a hodgepodge in terms of putting together practices and a plan. And, you know, you want to give them enough time off, obviously, to study and to rest and be their best in the classroom. But then you also have to, you don't want rust when you come back and play on Sunday against a really good Kansas State team they've played a really good schedule. They will have played 12 games by the time we play them, and we will have only played 8. So they've played a lot of close games. I think they're playing better. They're like a lot of teams. They have a lot of new players, and they're trying to figure that out. So, and then come back, 3 days later and play Omaha. We're excited to be able to start that series back up again at their place. And I know just getting to know Jamie a little bit, I think she's going to do a good job. I know she wasn't left with a lot in the spring, but I think, I'm hearing good things about him. I like the kids that they've recruited, and I think she'll do a good job there. And, it's a game that I think should be played. I know they just finished playing Nebraska, but I think it's good for the state and for the city that we're getting that opportunity again. And we're home through Christmas, so we've got the next 4 in Omaha, including the one at Baxter.
How big are the next 4? Since you guys have them at home, you don't have to leave the city, and what's that like?
Yeah, I think just building momentum, and I feel like we've improved. I mean, I think I saw signs of improvement out in Vegas. Even losing that first game, I felt like we played a little bit better than we had, and to get the win at St. John's and come back and on a short prep be able to beat a pretty good Tulsa team. I think certainly we have a lot of areas that we're just okay in, and we're seeing some of the inconsistency of a young and inexperienced team, but for the most part I feel like we're a better team than we were 3-4 weeks ago, and that's what you want. And I don't think it means that we're not going to encounter bumps and setbacks, but I do feel like these next 10-12 days are important because we have some momentum and try to continue to build on that momentum and confidence, because as much as we can talk about, hey, we need to get better at this and we need to get better at that, with young kids, winning builds confidence too. And sometimes it masks some things you need to improve upon, but at the same time, you want that confidence of what it feels like to win.
How different is K-State this year? You mentioned that they lost a lot. You saw them a year ago. How different are they now? Yeah,
they're way different. They lost, their 6'7" kid who played against us last year and then was out a lot of the year, is no longer with them. She was a 7th-year kid, and they built around her, and they had really good size on the perimeter as well, and did a great job throwing it in. So I felt like when we played them last year, they had Final Four potential. They made the Sweet 16, but they've really flipped their roster over like a lot of teams have. So they're different, but like I said, I think they're playing better. They just beat Ole Miss, who was a top 15 team the other day. They've played a lot of close games. I mean, they've played 5 games that really have come down to the last possession. So they're battle tested, and they're a Big 12 team, so they have good players. So I feel like they were trending in a good direction, but they're a way different team, and so are we. So Carly asked me this morning if I watched our game with them from last year, and I said really I hadn't, because I said we're so different and they're so different. There's really not a lot that we can pull from last year.
Since last season, or as you progressed this season, you've seen a lot of development from your freshmen. What specifically can you point to for either Ava, Neely, or Kendall, or even some of your sophomores, Allison and Elizabeth, that you've seen grow during this season?
Well, I feel like their ability to pull themselves out of a bad stretch is something that I've noticed. I think if you look at, or just get beyond a performance. Ava went 0 for 7 against St. John's and then has 21 points in the first half against Tulsa. That's a big bridge to to jump as a freshman. And I thought, the other day Kendall got off to a rough start against Tulsa, turned the ball over a couple times early, but I thought she settled in and, had 3 assists, 4 rebounds, so she was able to help us there. You look at Neely against St. John's, 0 for 6 in the first half, hits 4 threes in the second half. I mean, those are growth areas for freshmen to be able to go into a game and not get off to a great start, or have a game where the ball didn't go in the basket and then come back. And part of that is due to the fact that we have to play them because that's a big part of our team. Whereas, I said to somebody, potentially if Neely had gone 0 for 6, in a half, and we had a bunch of veterans she might not have gotten much run in the second half against St. John's, or Kendall turning the ball over a couple times early against Tulsa. She might not have factored into the rest of the game as much, but they're getting to play through those mistakes. And, and I'm impressed with how they've kind of been able to hit reset or recalibrate within the course of games or from game to game. And that's going to be important. I think Allison's been really consistent, and I feel like there's a lot of areas where she's helped us. And Liz now has become a little bit of a three-point weapon for us. She's shot the 3 pretty well, so they've all improved, and they're all gonna impact us because we're playing. We only have a roster of 9 healthy players, and 7 of them are freshmen or sophomores who barely played last year.
Flan, you and I both are philosophy majors, so reflection is part of what we do. How can you contrast and compare this team to the 2021 group, which also was freshman dominated, when you had Emma Ronsick, you had Morgan Molly, and you had Molly Mogensen all playing big minutes?
Well, there certainly are some similarities between this year and that team. I don't think our depth probably isn't quite what it was. We don't have as much experience above them. That group had a little bit more experience, I think, and probably a little bit greater depth. But certainly there are some similarities. I think, when you look at the fact that Ava and Neely are our 2 leading scorers right now, and Kendall has made some strides. Nora, I thought, played a really good game and helped us the other day against Tulsa. So, in terms of how talented they are, and as big a class as they are, there are some similarities. It's too early to tell, but I do feel like you're seeing some growth, but maybe just a little bit less experience around them.
How big has Ava been over the past few games with Kiani out?
Yeah, we obviously feel bad for Kiani, and it's a big blow to our team. But on the other hand, the thing with Ava is now she's going to get to play through mistakes at a different level than she would have had Kiani been healthy. And you see how fast she is in the open floor. I mean, she's still got a decent amount of growth in the half court, but I think she can make a lot of plays in transition that can really help us, because we're going to bog down some in the half court. We don't have Morgan and Lauren to the shot making necessarily that we've had over the last few years, so we need a few more transition baskets, and she certainly gives us that. And she shot the 3. She's not going to be a high volume 3-point shooter as long as she can make just enough to set up the rest of her game. But yeah, and then I think that one of the hidden things that Ava's done really well is she's drawn a lot of fouls. I mean, her foul drawing is easily the best on our team, and she's gotten to the free throw line a lot, and she's a good free throw shooter. So, and then defensively, she's ready to play at this level, which a lot of freshmen are not.
Anything further for Coach Flanery? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Flan.
Yeah. Thanks, Glenn. What do you think of Glenn?